Okay, so I don't know how long this video will probably be. So um, because I just wanna. There's no particular content to this video. I just want to speak about myself. Yeah, I want to talk about myself, and yeah, I just wanna like you know share my thoughts and my vision about a lot of different things. I mean, there are a lot of things that are there in my mind, but I feel like so far I haven't been able to exactly precisely channelize things, and because I haven't been able to channelize a few things, I feel like you know I feel like you know I have not been able to get through a couple of things. I think it's important that we we move out of our own way, in the sense that uh, we should let ourselves be, you know, whatever, however it is that we want to express ourselves, we should let ourselves get expressed. Because once we do that, once we start doing that, I think there's a much better flow to our lives, you know, than usual. And once that flow begins, once that flow takes shape, I think we are in a much better position than we were before. Um, See, things are uh, that's the thing. I mean, like, I think once we give up on our sense of judgment about, yes, there are a couple of things which, I mean, depending on the consequences, I mean, there are certain things which you can say that, this is a better option or something else is a better option. But uh, we don't have that information all the time, every time, or in a very clear cut, succinct manner. We may not have those informations. And when we don't have that information, it doesn't really quite matter, what, uh, which way we move or which way we are heading. It doesn't really matter much. So I think it's all about just letting yourself flow. You know, I mean, there are rules, yes, which do govern, the way things function. And, but like I said, you know, um, different people visualize things differently. We talk about things differently, and there are different kinds of parameters that we work with. So, you know, all in all, all these things taken together, we do realize that what that we cannot just copy paste blueprints. And I think uh, like I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, in the morning today, that you cannot necessarily like just copy paste the blueprint. In fact, matter of fact is that people actually don't have a blueprint. They just try. They just keep working, keep exploring, keep struggling, and eventually they stumble upon things like when you work on anything, any kind of uh, skill, any kind of skill development. When you keep working on it, you eventually tend to develop new skills, develop new habits, and that eventually helps you to you know like pick up a job, or you know get something done and stuff like that. So uh, but yeah, but like what precisely you're gonna do, you cannot be certain about that. I mean, in the sense that, let's say for example, I mean, whether or not, like, there's this very popular saying of the Bhagavad Gita, the text that is a Hindu text, very popular in India and I think other places where Hinduism is practiced. So Bhagavad Gita has this particular thing that it says that The Sanskrit reads something like this, that karmanyava adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, which translates to that that you have power, or you have the will or authority over your work. The effort that you put in, the hard work that you put in, you have control over that. Like, you can wake up, you can get to work, you can do things, but the result, the exact precise result, as it will turn out, you can never assure that. At least not 100%. You cannot guarantee what exactly might happen, or what how things might turn out. You never really know. So that's a very in my opinion, a very profound statement. And I think it's a very important life lesson that we should all understand, that that precisely, I mean, like I said, like, there are certain rules with which things happen, things work. But then again, there are a lot of other things that may not be under your control. So you can only control things up to a certain extent. And I think the most important thing is to practice Wu Wei. If you search about it, Wu Wei is a Chinese philosophy. I think it's Chinese, as far as what I can remember. It basically says that it's the path of least resistance. That basically, it's about moving out of your way. It's about not dictating, or not, like, commanding that this is how it's supposed to be, or that's how it's supposed to be. Because more often than not, what we do is that we dictate, or we start defining that this is how something is supposed to be, or that is how something is supposed to be. So when we start doing that, we start chasing, like, it's almost like chasing chickens. you know like, chickens are kind of hard to catch, so it kind of becomes like that. you know that I think when we become way too specific with our goals, with our ambitions, and we just try to put too much of stress on ourselves, it becomes also very likely that we are kind of setting ourselves for failure. That's something that kind of possibly can happen if you just uh, don't care about things, and you just, like, you don't look at other things, you don't keep your mind open, and you're just grueling yourself towards one singular thing. Because, you see, yes, I mean, I'm a big fan of discipline, to be honest, and I'm a big fan of people who are able to regimentize their lives, and who are able to achieve great feats of uh, human amazement. Like, I mean, there are a lot of people out there who have achieved some amazing things in their lives because of the fact that they remained disciplined. But I think what is also important at the same time is that the discipline should not come, or should not feel to us as the person experiencing, or the person, for to the self. I mean, discipline should not come off as something which is very forceful, or something which is very like a punishment, right? So discipline should not feel like a punishment. Rather, discipline should feel like a flow. Discipline should feel uh, like we are entering into like a different kind of space altogether. And discipline should always have a significant amount of space for play and entertainment. So that is, I think, very crucial whenever we talk about discipline. And I think a better word that we should focus on is consistency. Sometimes things may go a little, you might not wake up at the same time every day. You might not, I mean, it's ideal to wake up at a given day, given time every day, but that may not be exactly what everybody may be able to achieve, or you may not be able to achieve it right away, or there might be too much of information coming in, so you may have to filter through a lot of your different information, a lot of different thoughts, and a lot of different ideas. So that can be a little time consuming, and you may not get it right every time. But, well, that's what I'm saying, that if you are if you do have a, playfulness, with you're playful with your discipline, or you're a little creative with your discipline, I think that is more profitable, more beneficial. And when you are more creative and more playful about your life, the way you lead your life, I think it allows you to also um, do things, uh, make, like wherever, if something needs to be made, adjustments need to be made, you're flexible with your routine and things like that. So I think that becomes very crucial, that, because you cannot be too rigid with life, because life has a lot of different things going on, and life has a lot of different complexities, and a lot of the things, in fact, the matter of fact is that, most of the things are actually not something that we actually control. I mean, yes, for most part of life is, of course, a peaceful space, and we do get the opportunity and the time to sort of explore ourselves, figure things out. That's always available to us, but you know, it's not available to us in a very 100% way. There will always be some amount of complexity, some amount of, chaos, and things like that. So rigidity uh, might actually break us. So I think we need to be careful with that as well. Okay, so I'm just speaking, I don't know, like it's been 11 minutes now. I'm just going on speaking about things that I think about. Um, so maybe I can share a little bit about myself so far. Um, so I'm 31 years old right now. I mean, I turned 31 a few days ago, on the 19th of November. So I was born in the year 1994. I mean, I don't remember the day I was born or the moment I was born, but of course, that's what my birth certificate says. That's what my parents say, and that's what other people also say. So I believe. I mean, I have a hospital discharge form birth certificate with me, which states that I was born on the 19th of November, 1994, at least, or you can say that that was the day I left my mother's, body. I got detached from my mother. At least that's what you can say, because I don't know when because you can say that people are born like 9 months ago, 9 months before they're actually like the so-called birth date. Anyways, so what I'm saying is that, so there are a lot of things that I have. There are few things, materialistically speaking. I think I need to catch up, uh, because especially when it comes to money, I feel like there's not more that I need to do. Unfortunately, I think I'm lagging behind, and I don't have any savings whatsoever. And lately, there's a bit of a challenge that I'm facing right now with when it comes to money. So I need to see to it. I need to fix that, and yeah, a lot of other things as well. I think, uh, see, one of the fundamental reasons why I'm recording myself is just speaking, without much of a script. I mean, I don't have a script at all, and not a topic. I'm not even focused on any topic. I'm just speaking whatever comes to my mind. Is essentially because I want to let myself flow. Because for quite a long time, and even up till now, I feel like there's some kind of a block that I keep feeling, and I feel like there's something that's kind of like resistance, like an internal resistance, and kind of a bit of like a stress, you can say, that I keep feeling. So I'm trying to just let myself flow. I'm trying to teach myself that it's easy. It's easy. Everything is easy, and there's nothing much to worry about in life. We'll make mistakes, and everybody makes mistakes, because it's not just me. If I cannot, maybe sometimes my mind goes into this spiral, and it tries to not look at look at other people and think that they're somehow better than me. I mean, see, the thing is that uh, comparison. I think I was listening to this Osho, speech about the ego, or as in Hindi, it's called ahankar, you know, and this one in particular YouTuber Dhruv Rathi, he made a video about Osho, and from that I got to the original, Osho speech. So it talks about the ego, and it says that comparison. When we start comparing, our lives, or anything, like we start comparing, we start putting placing ourselves in some kind of uh, ladder. We'll always find there's someone who's ahead of us, and we'll always find someone who's behind us. I mean, I went to the gym today, and it's pretty clear that when you go to the gym, you'll always find someone who has probably like a higher body fat percentage than you, or who's at a lower strength level than you, and at the same time you also find someone who's lower body fat percentage or a higher strength level. So what I'm trying to say is that you might think that you are doing good, but then there'll be always someone who does better in something else. I mean, if you look at an actor like Shah Rukh Khan, I mean, when I was growing up, because I was growing up in India, and a very I mean, like a integrated India sort of division, and you see that you'd always think about Shah Rukh Khan as this epitome of success, as to what he achieved and everything. He's got the glamour, he's got the money, he's got everything combined, and it feels like, oh, this is something that you want to be. But then again, if you think about it, like he could have done, like, he never did an international venture so far. Could be a choice, or could be whatever. But that's what I'm saying. That even Shah Rukh Khan himself, he once said this thing that there will always be someone probably who's taller than you. There'll be someone who has a better six packs or whatever. So basically, the point here is that don't let it's just a matter of perception, right? So something, you cannot go ahead and be like, objectively, you cannot say that, oh, this is wrong, this is bad, or this is desirable, or this is undesirable. Yes, there are a couple of things which are more socially desirable or undesirable, uh, but then again, we have to work with whatever attributes we have. Or, like, for example, now time, like, I'm 31 years old right now, so there is no other way around it. I mean, I'm 31, that's it. That's the only truth about life. I cannot go back in time. I cannot even, like, go forward in time. I cannot do that as well, of course. So whatever age I am, I might feel like, maybe I didn't study well enough. Like, these are thoughts that I kind of struggle with, that I feel like, I have a bachelor's, I have a master's, but I feel like, they're not enough. Like, I'm not skilled enough for the job market. That's what I feel like. Or for a better job, or something, better, much more, high skill or high earning. I feel like that I won't be able to earn a lot. Those kind of fears I have. And then there are other things as well, like, about my health, because there were some minor, not too much, but like some minor issues with health that I had, that kind of put me, like, started, but kind of pushed me to think of me as a little, damaged or whatever. But then again, that's the thing, that these are all perceptions, these are all thoughts. I think the only way to live life is to move out of your way, let life happen. And as I'm recording this video, actually, I'm letting life happen, letting this video happen. So that's what I'm doing with this video. The freedom is everywhere. We are free at every moment right now, and I think the most free is to give up on decision making. Don't force yourself into any decision. Just let it be, and let things unfold, and things will unfold on their own, today, tomorrow, or whenever. you know uh, Whatever it is, it will eventually unfold. Eventually you will figure a way out. You may not be the highest jumper in the world, or the fastest runner in the world, or you may not be the guy who you know shoots the most goals or baskets, the most balls or whatever. Like, you're probably not gonna have something specific, but at least there will be motion. And you know and basically what I'm trying to say is that if you just let yourself be, let things happen, observe, and there's nothing to fear, because, see, life is already dangerous, right? You can meet an accident, something can go wrong, you can meet a natural calamity, someone might come and kill you. You might suddenly, you without, you may do all the good habits in the world, and yet, sometimes you might end up having some kind of disease. So what I'm trying to say is, not this is not, I'm not warranting living a dangerous life or something. No, I mean, sometimes, it's very obvious that there are certain security or safety measures that we do need to take. But what I'm saying is that, we have to free our mind from that incessant worry or incessant imagination that, something might go wrong, something might not work out. That loop of thought is something that, we need to kind of observe, not fight, not resist, but let it be, but not, like, that should not become our source of decision making. So when we start taking decisions out of some kind of fear or anxiety or irritants or annoyance or anger, what happens is that once we are out of that thought process or out of that emotional state, we might end up regretting, or we might even end up not relating to that state of mind anymore. We might almost feel like that, oh, that wasn't me who was making the decision. So that's what the whole point about life is, that I think that, you should just let your life flow. And once you let your life flow, once you let things unfold, it will just align. I almost think of life, or I almost think of the mind as like a computer. you know uh like, oftentimes, whenever sometimes, when we would turn on the computers, and we would click on a file or a folder, and then it doesn't open up immediately, because of some processing or whatever. And then we get a little, restless. And out of that restlessness, what we do is that we, start tapping on it multiple further more times, double tap it, multiple times. And eventually what happens is that, at the end, like, when the multiple tabs or multiple windows that open up of that same file. So for that analogy, I feel like, we can sort of connect it to the mind itself, our human mind. Because, like, for example, see, your mind, since early childhood, or like since you were born, right from the moment you were born, the brain has been doing, or the mind or brain or whatever you want to call it, has been doing one exercise, and one exercise alone is to protect you, is to save you, is to keep you alive and keep you functioning. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to keep, pressurizing your mind, or keep reminding your mind every time that, oh, you need to do better, or you need to fix this, or you need to fix that. Your mind will fix everything. You just have to let your mind be, let it be, you know and it's very automatic. I think that, like, a lot of the things that we do are in fact very automatic. So you should just let your mind just go, be in its automatic zone, automatic space, and it will keep doing its thing. Oftentimes what happens is that we get stressed, we start fearing things, we, fear of missing out, fear of being alone, um, all kinds of fear. They start occupying our headspace, and we start taking decisions, or we start taking actions or reacting according to that temporary state of being. So I think that, the natural, or like Osho, or like all those people who, somewhere meander around Buddhism or existentialism, those guys, when they talk about, I think what they fundamentally talk about is that, when uh, that you don't have to always be there, right? In a sense that, I mean, you will be here, of course. You are here. I'm here right now. But what I'm saying is that, you don't have to, like, everything, like, nothing needs to be forced, right? You don't have to keep anticipating all the time, or you don't have to keep like, calculating consciously whatever is going, because your mind just works. There's a, you're just, like the way I'm speaking right now, I'm speaking quite spontaneously. And when I say spontaneously, there's a, you can also say that, it's quite involuntary, in that sense, that, I'm not like, I don't have to think about every single word I say. It's just there. I just say it. There's a lot of calculations, a lot of things going on in my head. The way I'm moving my hand, or like the way I'm, like, my facial gestures are working, or anything, or the words that are coming out of my mouth, the choice of words. I'm not governing everything. you know so that's the whole thing, that so don't bother yourself too much. Don't imagine too much. I mean, imagine, let your imagination flow, but don't get stuck to any particular idea, because see, I mean, if we are very quick to think of negative things, like we might start thinking that, oh, what happened, what if I end up on the streets, what if that happens, or what if this happens. We're very quick to start thinking in those terms. But the fact of the matter is that, you know why do we always have to think that? You can also think about the positive. What if you end up becoming the first trillionaire on planet Earth, or a billionaire, or whatever? Like, anything can happen. I mean, just like the bad can happen, the extreme bad can also happen to you, and the extreme good can also happen to you. And the truth of the matter is that you cannot control. You don't know. I mean, today, yes, I have today's time with me. Today, I'm healthy right now, right? I don't have any major, or matter of fact, even any, as such, no minor, major or minor, any kind of like serious health issue or whatever. I'm not like, I don't have that big of a challenge, or even like financially or monetarily speaking as well. Um, I'm doing fine. But then again, I live in India, and there are a lot of infectious diseases around, or there are a lot of things, a lot of challenges here. Sometimes, and it's not just, I'm not just saying that just because I'm in India, but even if I be in a very developed country as well, things might still come to hit me, right? I mean, there might be some diseases that I might end up acquiring, maybe the environment, or maybe anything else. So what I'm trying to basically point towards is that, you know anything can happen to you, right? In the long run, anything can happen to you. You might develop cancer, you might develop diabetes, you might have anything going on with you, or someone might hurt you, someone might, hurt you in a mortal, fatal way. So anything can happen, right? The good and the bad, everything is possible. Everything that you can think of, and everything that can happen, like, unless, like, there are few things, of course, like, for example, which basically physics denies us, right? So, which are very clear, very succinct, that, let's say, for example, if I jump off the like a if I jump over something, and I'll get hurt, I'll fall, that's very physically explainable. But there are other things that, there's a likelihood of certain things, and they can also end up happening. So what I'm saying is that, there so what we can do now is just let life happen, right? And that's what I'm saying, that the mind is that, ever since we were born, the brain has been doing the only thing, and it has only one job, and it's always been doing that job, and that is to protect us, to keep us safe. And we should just let the brain do its job. The subconscious, the more automated parts of our brain, we should just let, with our conscious mind, with our conscious thought process, what we can do, or what we should do, is just let the brain work, let the mind function, let it do its job, and you should just move out of the way. So I think that's the most significant way that we can function, and that's the way that we can achieve a lot of things in life. Just flow. I think flow is very important. Like, being in a flow state is very important. And I really, the philosophy that not philosophy, actually, this is psychology. So Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the what he had presented with the concept of flow, which is very old concept. And I think, even when we think about Buddha, or when we think about all these other people, I think they were essentially talking about that flow state. When I feel like when Buddha was talking about nirvana is, I feel, in my opinion, is just like a like a flow state for life kind of thing, like unbroken, chain of flow state. So I think that's basically how things are. And you know I think these are all pretty connected. I really am interested in psychology and philosophy and all these kind of ideas, because of self-improvement. uh yeah, I think by relaxing, or by calming ourselves down, I think there's a lot that opens up in front of us, and there's beauty in that, in my opinion. and we should not, like someone had said this thing. I think Osho said this thing. Maybe I don't know. Like that, let life happen. So I think that should be our motto for life. That we should just let life happen. Yeah. So I've just crossed the 30-minute mark. I can go on. I can go on. I can speak for, I don't know, God knows like how long I can keep speaking. But I think I'll put an end to it this now. Maybe I'll come back, talk about other things about maybe my biographical life as well. I might try to speak about it, so far, you know. But again, I can only just go with the flow. I can only just speak about whatever comes to mind at that particular moment. So yeah, I'll keep doing that.